The ink was still wet on the contract when Daniel Reyes slid it back across the gleaming conference table. "This is for her," he said quietly, his calloused hands folded in front of him. Across from him, Madison Clark, CEO of Clark Industries, raised a single, perfect eyebrow. "A 3-year marriage. Nothing more. You sure you understand the terms?" Daniel's throat tightened, but he forced himself to meet her sharp, assessing gaze. "Yes. I understand." What he didn't say was that he'd stopped understanding his life the day his little girl, Lily, had been diagnosed with leukemia. That every cent he'd saved running his tiny auto shop had evaporated in a flood of hospital bills. That when Madison's lawyer had approached him with the proposal, to marry her, be her public husband, to help her secure control of her family's company, he'd thought only of the number at the bottom of the page. The number that would pay for Lily's treatment, and then some. And so, he signed. The first weeks were businesslike. Madison moved into his modest house, her expensive heels clicking against his worn hardwood floors, her leather briefcase sitting where Lily's coloring books used to. She didn't smile much. She didn't linger. At night, he heard her pacing in the guest room. And every morning, she left before sunrise, leaving only the faintest scent of her perfume and a note by the coffee pot. "Breakfast for Lily is in the fridge. Back late. M." It was enough. But then something began to shift. One night, Daniel came home from the garage to find Madison sitting cross-legged on the floor, playing Candy Land with Lily. "Daddy." Lily beamed, her face pale but her smile bright. "Maddie says I'm a princess." Madison looked up, startled, a faint blush in her cheeks. "She beat me fair and square," she said softly. And after that, Madison started staying for dinner. Then she started making dinner. Lily's room filled with laughter again, and Daniel couldn't help but notice that Madison's laugh, quiet and cautious at first, grew more natural with each passing day. But it wasn't supposed to mean anything. That was the deal. One winter afternoon, Daniel overheard Madison on the phone. "No," she was saying, her voice low but urgent. "He doesn't know. It's just, he's not like the others. He's kind. And Lily, she calls me Maddie." A long silence. Then she added, almost to herself, "I can't hurt them." Daniel stood in the doorway, feeling like he was hearing someone else's life. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. On the morning of their final anniversary, Madison stood by the kitchen window, staring out at the falling snow. "I filed the papers," she said, her voice quiet. "My lawyer will drop them off later." Daniel swallowed hard, forcing himself to nod. This was what they'd agreed to. This was the plan. But when Madison turned to leave, Lily ran after her, clutching her hand. "Don't go, Maddie," she whispered. Madison froze. Then knelt, cupping Lily's face in her hands. I wasn't supposed to stay, sweetheart," Madison said, her voice breaking. "But you already did," Lily said simply. That night, Daniel found Madison sitting on the porch in the snow, her knees drawn up to her chest. "I thought I could do this without feeling," she said, her breath fogging in the cold air. "But then you let me in. Both of you. And I broke every rule I made for myself." Daniel hesitated. Then sat beside her, silent for a long time. Finally, he reached for her hand. "You can stay," he said. "If you want to. No contracts. No conditions. Just, stay." Her eyes glistened as she looked at him, and for the first time, she didn't look like a CEO at all. She looked like a woman who'd been waiting her whole life for someone to tell her she could come home. They never signed another contract. They didn't need to. Because some promises don't need paper and ink, just open hearts, and a little girl's quiet faith that even broken rules can lead to something beautiful. And so they stayed. Together. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. Every day. Sometimes the greatest deals in life aren't made in boardrooms, but around a kitchen table, with love and second chances as the only terms that matter.